Well, we are now at 9:31. We have a quorum almost here, so let's start our meeting. Welcome, Sean. Thank you for being here this morning. We have the review of the agenda. One thing I have a quick question about is the future agenda item 9E, Unity 2026. Is that a question of whether we will do that outside of Club Affair? Because part of what I was confused about when reading the minutes is that it looked like the whole thing was just kind of put off. Club Affair and Unity were put off until deciding in January of 2026. So that agenda item, it should be Club Affair / Unity?
Well, not necessarily, because it's an up in the air about both.
Okay.
Because whether we're going to do one or the other or both.
I just wasn't sure about that, so I thought I would ask since I wasn't here.
I think at this point we're looking at what the Unity looks like as far as our involvement, so I would think this covers it.
Okay, thank you. All right. Does anyone have any other question about the agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I approve that we approve the agenda as stated.
Maureen moves we approve the agenda.
Second.
And Candy seconds. Any further discussion? No. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimously passed. Okay, so looking at the minutes, has everyone had a chance to review? And does anyone have any questions or need for clarification?
I just have about Art Walk. 2 different musical groups may be performing. Those are really not. I want to make maybe or tentatively performing, or that we're looking into, because those two individuals, the group and the individual, have not been.
Right, but it does say maybe performing.
Okay, I must have misread that in my.
So
We did talk about it.
Yeah, we did talk about it, but I just wanted to make sure
Yes,
that they weren't. Yeah, I must have misread. I apologize.
So there's no certainty on it. It's just a matter of these maybe, and you're comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Any other questions from anyone else? I do have one myself, but I want to make sure everyone has a chance to ask anything. So the question I have is, and it's more for clarification, is regarding the digitized scrapbook.
Which one are we on?
5A.
Okay.
So it's my understanding that Longmont Public Media was going to be reading script, not creating script. Something changed?
No, but the correction or the additions that you had added were not entirely correct, which is why I removed them. They're creating a script for us and reading a script, so there's kind of more to the project that they're doing for us, and I felt that the changes that were made kind of pared down what they're actually doing.
Oh, because that's what my understanding was, that they were reading script, that we were that alt text that the scrapbook committee would be working on.
So those are 2 separate projects, or parts of the project, rather.
Okay.
So yeah, they're going to be helping to formulate a script, and we'll be reading it and, basically doing that entire audio tour, although they'll want our input on the script. And then they'll also be reading a few snippets of full length articles or pieces from the scrapbook that we pick out. And then the alt text is a separate part of the same project. That part is is for the uploaded PDFs.
Okay.
So
Needed clarification on that, because that was confusing. And I'm on the committee, so okay. I think that's helpful. And I think that it did get kind of circled around the question about using AI for audio.
Yeah, I
rather than just simple somebody reading it, because potentially that's even a better future solution for everything from, when audio has to be a specific range, and then also the ability to do a quick translate from English to another language.
So we did check in with them about that, and the guidance was that if we want anything over 10 minutes, that it would be best to have a human reader. They did put together like there's an AI platform, I can give the name of it now, that will create like a podcast style audio recording basically. So it was interesting to hear. They sent us one, but it really kind of simplifies things quite a bit. So I think if we're looking for something a little more in depth, the suggestion was to use a human reader.
And basically that's what was discussed, that the option to do the AI is always there, but we already have so many minutes or so much time placed with these guys, so this covers a broader range. Plus, we have the AI option, which is a much more simplified version. We still need to be doing what we're doing and simplifying what we've been working on with the original scrapbook. But basically, so that was what was discussed, because I addressed that. Why would we be paying Longmont Media to do that? But we already have so many hours committed to them, correct? Or to us?
The city contract with them, they have a certain number of hours available for the city each month that are paid for, whether they're used or not. So the idea with this project is that anytime they have additional hours available, that they would be working on this. So kind of, and there are times when they're not able to, the city's not able to fill the hours, that we kind of have them on retainer for. So it'd be a good way to,
so it's a win.
not, it's kind of a use it or lose it situation.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not paying, Callahan is not paying anything additional for this
Directly.
project to have LPM help us with it.
It's the city. So,
Okay, that won't go on Callahan's budget.
no, it won't affect our budget at all.
Okay. All right, so that was my other question.
And I serve as the liaison to the Longmont Public Media Board, so I can, if you'd like, I can ask them, any questions you would like in regards to this and report back to you.
That would be wonderful. If everyone would like to kind of consider that, potentially put together any questions you have and email them to me and Brittany, then between now and the next meeting, we can get those to Sean and he can get answers for us.
Well,
Any questions?
I really think Brittany is answering that, but if we need a further discussion about script or anything, but it seems to me like they're going to run that past us anyway, and there's a really good communication range. I personally am like, and because it's not coming out of our budget, that was my biggest concern, is that it would be coming out of our budget. And once that was clarified, I'm like, okay, I do like that aspect. Yeah. I'm sure.
But if
all
anyone
of us,
thinks of any questions,
yeah, I'm sure one of us can come up
would
with
be
something.
good to have an answer come directly from them. So let's get that going. So I guess at that point, is there any other question or point of clarification on the minutes? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
There were no changes to the minutes.
I'll move that we approve the minutes as submitted.
Okay, Maureen moved, Cindy seconded. Do we have any further discussion?
Who seconded?
Cindy.
Thanks.
And, all right, then, all in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimously passed. Okay. On to public invited to be heard. We don't have anyone from the general public here to be heard, so we'll move on to old business. The digitized scrapbook. So, on that note.
Yeah, the example that's here, they sent 3 examples, and the way that this was formulated was taking the PDFs of the scrapbook and feeding it into an AI platform and asking for, kind of a summary script. So I had emailed those out when we got them. There were 3 examples, but I'm just sharing one here. They were all fairly similar. They gave, a couple different prompts to get the different examples, but pretty similar. So I guess I'm looking for kind of and then in addition to what's here is reading a few select articles in full. Maybe 2 or 3 per book. I would think something along those lines. So I guess I'm kind of looking for feedback about this general style of setup with like a summarized script and a couple of articles read for the audio tour, if that's kind of what folks have in mind.
Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
So as mentioned in the first paragraph, it seems like purpose is for accessibility, everyone, including individuals who are blind, have low vision.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the purpose of reading or describing the scrapbook for those who aren't able to read and see clearly.
Yes, and that said, if people have access to screen readers, that's also another way that they can kind of access that on their own. The reason that we're interested in doing this is because the ADA requirements for municipalities are fairly new, and so there's not a lot of specific guidance regarding historic documents. There's not a lot of guidance in general, but certainly for like some of those specialty items. The only guidance that there really is basically to do our best to make it accessible in different ways. And so this is our attempt at creating some different avenues of accessibility so that hopefully, even if we don't cover all of the possible bases, that it shows that we're making an attempt to offer accessibility in several ways.
So can we choose which articles are
Yeah, absolutely.
okay, because some books might have more pressing articles that we find.
Yeah, I think LPM would appreciate our guidance in terms of like, does this type of script, fit what we were hoping for, and which articles would be read in full.
And that's something that is going to be done by the committee, is that correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then aside from, I guess, what's the best process we need to take for reviewing option scripts, and because we're kind of at 2 different crossroads here. One with the committee and the work that they're going to be doing, and it does overlap this, and so should these come through the committee first, and then the committee then says, okay, yeah, we're liking that option, or we need to tweak this and that, and then come back to the board for recommendation to the board, and
Well, I
the board
think
then
as a
reviews
start,
this,
I'd like kind of a general, sense of if this process feels correct, and if what is here, feels like at least a good place to start. And then I think the committee can kind of do the finer detailed work of going through the script and seeing if there's any changes that need to be made, and choosing articles to be read, and also continuing to work on the alt text for the visual PDFs. That would be my thought, is like as a whole today to kind of decide if this process works, if what's here feels like a good place to start.
As long as it is consistent with what's in the book, and that is going to take kind of eyes on the book and this at the same time.
Right, which will be the finer detail work that the
Which is
committee can do. But
committee
just
work.
in general, if everybody has a sense that the length of the pieces of information that are here and sort of the process that they're using to create this feels like a place that we can start from.
I think it's a good place to start from. You already know. I like more detail instead of less, but I think Karen's correct that
We can do that,
This is just what AI spit out.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're going to come back and be human and approach this from a human
Well, I would
perspective,
say,
and
if that is like
ensure
a
we've got
general
everything that we want.
sense of feedback that we want more detail, is I would probably have them start with a new prompt that asks for
Six
a
sentences
lengthier,
or something.
Yeah.
I think more detail, just because somebody can't see it doesn't mean that they don't want the detail on it. And then I also think it's hard unless we have eyes on what we're looking at, because we even I know you guys have met prior. I could make the meeting, but we were working on pages that we thought were the correct pages, and they weren't when we were first doing this. So I think that's the hiccups in things, and then it'll also give us a better idea if we can pick out which articles we find most poignant. But I think this is a good place to start. It's a start. This is okay. So a little more detail would be good, and then we can humanize it, work on the script, and then push it back and pick out what we like to read, and then we'll continue to do the simplified reading, which I personally find very difficult. But that's
Okay.
it sounds like a working plan.
It is. How does everyone else feel about
What do you guys?
this general approach?
The one that I thought was funny was on the page 6 of this packet, Center One Carriage House and Gardens. And the last sentence says, "One bust resembles Bacchus or Venus, left to the interpretation of the viewer."
Oh. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that
And that's like,
we need
that's
to
an
go
error.
through and, yeah.
Come back
Yeah.
through with human eyes.
Yeah.
And,
You can edit, but it's a start.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've got something down on paper is easier to do, in my opinion. A little more detail than less, and then we can eliminate things that aren't correct.
Yeah. Okay, so on that note, what we probably have to do is schedule the next
Yes.
committee meeting. So, and right now, the committee members are, Maureen is the lead, she's the chair, and that's Jeff and myself. Anyone else is welcome to join. It is worthwhile, so. And I guess we can say, if you want to pipe up now, great, and if you want to just kind of join us when we have a meeting set, that's fine too. So, what kind of schedule do we have coming up? That's any opportunity to look on or past the 18th? Bless you.
18th is really, I can do the 18th. And then it kind of gets into the bigger, the week of the 23rd, the 27th, I can't. And then
18th
we're,
is a club day.
is it? Is there, are they going to be using the upstairs room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Wednesdays are like full house
Yeah,
club
it is.
days.
Wednesdays are busy. How about the 20th? It's Friday, but or even Thursday.
The 19th is open.
Can we do the 19th instead?
Okay.
Are you working that day? It's a city
Do you
holiday.
prefer?
Oh, it is.
Yeah, I
It's
am actually. I'm gonna
Juneteenth.
flip that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll be here.
Okay.
So do you prefer morning?
I do prefer mornings. If
Time works
we
better for you.
go 9:30, 10 o'clock,
9:30 or 10?
I can even go
That's
earlier.
fine.
Does that work?
Yeah, earlier is better for me.
Earlier?
Yeah.
Okay,
Is
do
9:30 okay?
10 o'clock,
10
please.
10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay.
10 o'clock. Okay, so 10 o'clock Thursday the 19th is the committee meeting.
And if we can focus on the
Upstairs.
alt text for that.
Yes.
So that way we can get the PDFs uploaded and then
Yes.
the audio would be next.
As long as I know what we're writing on.
All right. All right, then we'll move along to our updated video. Did everyone have the chance to review the video before today? How's everyone feel about it now? How's it looking?
I thought it looked really good. From my viewpoint, it looked really good.
That's come a long way.
I think almost enough is enough. I think we reviewed it enough, and I think it's close as it's going to get to being.
I like how they
Yeah.
had the outdoor scenes of different clubs all put in one spot this time. And I thought it flowed really well.
Yeah, I had them, instead of, we talked about, because at the end of the Auto House stuff, that they go back and start talking about the turntable. I just had them put that in the middle instead, and
Yeah.
I think it flowed a little better instead of showing that scene. Like,
Yeah, that was
we
good.
just had them rearrange it a little bit. I think it works
Good
better.
choice.
And it had the old picture where it showed that there was still the double doors,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
you could kind of,
In
Yeah.
the car there.
you could kind of
noticed
think
that.
in your head, oh, that's where the turntable was.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas like the pictures now
Mhm.
Yeah.
just has the single door and it's,
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Candy?
So-
I agree. I think it's ready to put in the can and moving on.
Cindy, yes. All right. I think we are. Jack.
Okay, well, I'm fine with, next question, maybe ahead, but are we going to consider doing a short version of this?
We can down the road, yeah. We'll have the rights to do that. It's probably something we work with LPM on, but yeah, we can.
Good.
And the short version that you're talking about is something that takes
10, 15 minutes, something that's easy, some sit down during a tour.
Okay, just so that we know what we're
Yeah.
I didn't know
thinking.
if he wanted to change the copyright date at the very end to be 2025. Since,
Oh, okay, because that's
since
the completion.
inside,
Yeah, good
it-
point.
when they have the people speaking and it says on the board, like some of those do say 2025. So if you had the copyright at the end, say 2025 instead of
Okay.
2024. That was the only detail I picked up on.
Thanks, Julie.
So you want who to start with who's going to do that little clip?
Likely LPM. I think it's not something that we're gonna probably dive into right away, but yeah. I would
But-
assume
but
we'd
with-
start with LPM and
But
see.
probably with input and advice in advance, right, from the board
Yeah.
of, hey,
Yeah.
LPN, this is kind of what we're looking for, and let them do the work. Okay. Well, then, I think, are we all set with the video, that it's ready to go? We're gonna move that, we're done with it, and it can be posted to the city's website, the Callahan House page.
Wow. It's been a long time coming, getting there. Yay.
Yeah.
So, is there a motion for that?
Well, I have one more question. Is Jamal going to pitch it to
PBS?
CBS for?
I think it's going to
Colorado.
fall on us to do.
Okay.
I think, and that's something that I'm willing to work on, because this is what's the goal of the project in the first place, is to update that and to have this continuing. But
Yeah.
as much as I think we were led to believe that he would do that, I don't know that he will. So.
Do you want me to check with him? He did say that he
Please.
had a connection.
I would appreciate
that,
it, but
And then, so we talked about PBS and also the a showing at the museum. Is that something we still want to move forward with? And I only say that given that I don't know that the final project is what we maybe expected in the beginning when we had these thoughts. So
expectations.
Pulse check on that.
I think we should try. We have it. We have it done, and it's a lot of.
Showing at the museum, what exactly does that mean? What do
I
you-
think
what do
that
you-
so the museum, they have
suggesting?
like their Thursday night. They do. Well, anyway, in the Stewart Auditorium, they're having a showing of the video, and then I kind of envisioned maybe having some board members there for Q&A or to share
That's
more about the house and things
It's
like
an
that. Was
example
my
of what we could do.
was my
and we
thought. But we'd have to see if they feel like it fits with their programming and those kind of things.
And check on their construction
That's
plan
true,
too, and what that looks like.
I think we should look into.
I don't think the auditorium is under construction, it's just the exhibit.
Well,
I'm
but
sure the
just
whole
in
parking
general,
lot is going to be compromised, and
Yeah, that could affect their scheduling and things like that.
not that
Well,
it's
I
not
guess-
an option. Just checking with them on
Yeah.
that.
I guess asking them to see if it could fit in somehow. It might be
I
a
guess,
really
yeah.
nice thing
I'm
to
asking
suggest.
if we want to still move forward with that.
I don't think it could hurt. I think that the more we can get the
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Those Thursday evening movies are attended by a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether or not we
Yeah.
get a whole Thursday evening, or maybe work in a program, have a part of it, even they may be doing the other thing, I think it'd be tremendous.
Okay.
I think
We're
we try.
connected with Justin over there, so I'll I had mentioned it to him a while back, so we'll let him know that we're ready for him to review it, and it, of course, would be up to them to decide if it is something that they
Meets
feel
their
like they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they need to, I guess, group it with something,
Yeah.
it can be grouped with their, they have videos of historic West Side, historic East Side. They've got
Yeah.
videos that they've created, and so we can kind of, collaborate and say, okay, history of Longmont and evening, and kind of create that kind of event that is dual purpose. It includes all of the museums, historic downtown tours.
Yeah, I mean, I would leave it
And
up
then
to them
hours.
to see what they would want, what
Right.
content they
Yeah,
want.
it's
All
up to
I'm
them.
doing is suggesting it, is if they're needing a way to
It is
put
a
it
good
into
idea.
context somehow, that could be it.
So Maureen, you had brought up at the last meeting or so about celebrating Colorado's
150th?
right.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps it'll be a ways out, but perhaps that would be another
That's another good
tie-in
one.
that might be a bigger thing, rather than, oh, by the way, we're showing a movie at the Stewart Auditorium. Maybe it could be part of something bigger on down the line. That's something to think of
That's
too.
a great idea.
That we've waited this long.
Yeah.
Maybe
This is way longer than we
making it a
originally
bigger
thought.
deal
Yeah.
might be better. I don't know.
That's
Showcase
good.
it on a bigger stage. Okay, I like
Well,
that.
and there's the other thing. We could possibly check with Longmont Media on Channel 3 to see if we could play it there as well.
Mhm.
Can we not?
Oh, sure, I think they'd be willing to. I'm betting that some of this is just to the point of having a contract that we have with them, they're like, oh, yeah, well, let's put this up here because then it partially fulfills that contractual agreement. So,
Just another idea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like the idea of the Colorado experience on PBS the best, but let's try to.
every
I'll
other.
get every avenue possible. Yeah.
You spent the money.
Handle contacting him and see what he's at, and then if he doesn't choose to move forward, I will definitely.
Okay. So we're done with updated video as a item on our agenda going forward, right? Okay. Excellent.
Long time coming.
Great job,
Well,
everyone.
do we need to keep it on here to hear news about any of the stuff that we talked about, or I'll just fill you in as I know anything?
So Maureen, what do you think? If
be
it
on
needs
here
to
for
stay on here for a purpose
long
of
time.
I
a
don't-
tickling system for
I don't know that we
several
do.
different-
I'll just
It
provide
could be your
updates
items from staff.
Items from staff,
Yeah.
and then we'll just keep on following back on
Okay.
through that aspect.
Oh, yeah. All right, then, we'll move on to
That's
patrons
exciting.
of the
We crossed
Callahan
something
House.
off.
We crossed something off. That's where I'm
Yes.
at. I'm like going, wow.
Yeah.
Long project, but got it done. Okay, so patrons of the Callahan House, the committee did meet, got some updates. I think our biggest hiccup was the payment process, and hopefully there's some more work being done on that, or I don't know. Is the city able to smooth it
The
out a
last
little
we
bit?
spoke, you were going to send me an email with the changes that you all had hoped for, and I was going to check in and see what
Not-
we could do.
Not the content on there, but more of the actual going through and making a donation when they're selected. That process, that's.
I mean, the payment portal is what it is. So that process, there's not much room for change there.
Mhm.
But so if there's something specific that you're
Okay.
hoping for,
Well,
you know,
I will go ahead and
just
email.
let me know exactly what that is. But
Yeah, I'll go ahead and email you some specific
Okay.
things.
I think for the past meetings that we talked about, it was a clarification and see if we could clarify it better through the portal. But we don't have any chance to. Is there somebody specific within the city that works on the setup of the
Are they talking about
and
WebTrack?
so- Yeah, we're talking.
I mean, the way
WebTrack.
it's set up is it's hard coded. Like
Yeah.
it's not something we have the ability to change the way that the POS service items are set up. Whether you're buying something at the golf course, the rec center, it is what the system is. So what it
Okay.
looks like is what it looks like.
Okay, and that's, I think, one of our questions is that, and I was afraid that was going to be.
Yeah, it's just
that
it's a software that we don't manipulate the software. We use it, but we can't change the way the website looks
Or anything.
or the like true functionality. We can change language.
Yeah, I think there were a couple of some wording maybe that you were interested in, but other
And
than
we can have
that,
those like custom questions and things, but the way to receive money through RecTrack is
Just the way it is.
donation link, yeah.
I mean,
It's quite cumbersome, but.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
it's the same for
experience with track in general.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to go back at our next meeting and go into it again and see if we can clarify it with
Language.
the language and directions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, let's schedule the next committee meeting for patrons. Do we want to?
Do you want to tack on to the 19th or a separate date?
If doing the 19th, it would need to be afternoon, like starting at like 2.
I was saying you already have the 10
I know,
scheduled.
but then I have another obligation that's like right after that I have to
Okay.
go to, so. I can't
It might be better to look at another date then.
Probably then. Is the 20th an option for people? And this does include everyone. This is everyone on the board, by the way, so this isn't, it is task committee work, but it's all board included.
I can't make it on that.
Can't do the 20th, okay. Then let's, I know the next week isn't great for you, Maureen, but how about, well,
The 25th, like that Wednesday, is available if because we only have a club upstairs. Also the Thursday.
Well, and to be clear, why I can't do it that week is we're going to a city conference. So
Yeah, the Colorado Municipal League in Breckenridge Conference, the CML.
So it's not like I'm off having fun.
we know better than that. So. All right, so can we look at, I don't want to go close to the 4th, but can we look at July 1st? It's a Tuesday. And so hopefully we're working around any clubs that would be.
That works.
Yeah,
for
that's
me.
fine.
I could do the first.
Okay, so what time is a good time for everyone? Because I do want everyone to come, so what time is a good time?
I volunteer at the hospital in the morning until noon.
Until noon. Okay, so anything after 1. So if we got together at 2 o'clock, would that work?
Works for me. You'd have to be done by 3.
So what if we got together at 1?
1's fine if that works
That
for you.
works.
Okay. So, all right, committee meeting upstairs. Tuesday, July 1. At 1 to 3 p.m. Alright. Then on to future restoration and preservation. What is the status on having any other
Yeah, we got a couple
bids?
quotes for the table. 2 more quotes for the table. Interestingly, they are significantly lower, both of them. I just got the last one in this morning. So we got one. So the original quote was for 28 something. The other 2 that we got back, one of them is for 9,700, another is for 11,200.
Wow.
Whoa.
So it's the same scope. In fact, I used, the scope that was put together from the original quote to put out the request for bid.
That seems so
Do you have information about the vendors?
I mean, other than
Who are they?
finding them via Google and things like that, and their reviews. Antique Furniture Repair is one, and Obsolete Goods is another. So and we are not required necessarily to go with the lowest quote, but we do need to, have a strong foundation as to why we would spend almost 3 times as much.
So what do we know then about antique furniture repair? How long have they been
You have to
restoring
do some
antique
additional
furniture?
research. At the time, I was just reaching out to a lot of places to get another quote so that we could move forward.
So I
Okay.
think that would be the question to be answered for each antique furniture repair and obsolete goods.
So
And
basi-
then where are they located? That's another
They're in the
question.
area. I'd have to look at the information again.
And it includes pickup and delivery as well, so comparing all the same. So
Okay.
learning about that, I think, will be helpful.
Do we need to set up? Do we need to do an additional investigation and then
No, I
come
think
back
for
with
the
a
next meeting, I'll
recommendation?
just put together some more. So you can actually, like I said, I just got the one quote in this morning. So we can
Okay.
actually put the quotes with their scope as provided and some more information for each company together for review.
So they've not been here to see the furniture.
So one gave me a quote without coming in person
Right.
and one did come in person.
Okay.
The higher quote was the one that came in person.
Okay.
So, and we can also seek out, we don't have to cap it at 3. We can seek out additional quotes. I had reached out to 2 other companies and have not,
Heard anything
gotten
back?
back. Yeah, so.
I think the big thing is what would be helpful if we've seen some of their work. That would the other
Well, if they have
things.
some references, that's helpful, they've been restoring antique furnishings, not just furnishings, it's important.
I think the bottom line is, I think all of us would be just horrified, and if you mess something up on this furniture going back, and it's,
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And unless
it's
they're
such a
expensive.
significant difference that we
It
need to
is.
really have
We need to
a
understand
strong
why.
basis.
need
we
to
understand
why.
why. Is it what's the
It's-
difference, and what
Yeah.
are they doing,
Mhm.
and I agree. I don't want to just spend money to spend money.
But there's also a concern of you get what you pay for, so if you're,
Well, this is rare stuff too. This is the tiger cut. on
The tiger cut and how they finished it with the burnishment of the putting the detail in with the chemicals and whatnot. There's more to it than just stripping it, strapping some, sanding it, strapping some. Yeah, there's a lot more to it. And
Do we have that information from the first person?
What information?
What they would do, what process, like what you were just describing and talking about
I
chemicals.
think we could use some more details about the processes from all
That way
3
we can
companies.
compare apples to apples.
Yeah, because if they're all the same,
Yeah.
those are
low.
pretty low.
that is low.
Yeah,
Scary
so
low.
low.
Well, that was when I got the first one. It was kind of like, okay, let's see what the other one says and if it's more similar. But the fact that those 2 are both
Those are
similar
similar,
to each
yeah.
other, yeah.
And how long have they been in business?
Right.
And
and
there's a lot to consider when you're dealing with historic property. And it's not just the price.
I think we're all in agreement, but I
we need some
think we want the
consistent-
best that we can get. But I do think that we need details in regards to the burnishment of the wood and making sure that we have the darkening aspect, just like it matches all the rest of this in here. That's a special chemical treatment that they soak the wood in, and then they let it. It's more complicated than just taking off the varnish, sanding it down, and having a piece of oak.
That was done with this wood, but the furniture might be a different process. So what I would suggest is this. This is also a very helpful tell on their expertise. Ask them their process. Don't ask them, do you strip it? Do you don't lead them.
Yeah. that's
Just
right.
ask them, what is your process for restoring this furniture? What is your process regarding the leather? What kind of leather are you looking to replace it with? There are some questions that will, when they answer, will be quite telling is the quality and if they're going to be a proper choice or not. So that would be one, and then asking them when did they start their business?
Yep.
How long have they been restoring historic furniture? How much of their business is historic furniture? Because some people might be like, oh, yeah, I'll do a historic piece here and there, but then they're doing a lot of modern other everything. So what amount of their business is historic furniture? And then if they have any references.
References.
Anything else? Anyone else can think of?
I would like to see visually some of their finished product.
Yeah.
Some photos of their finished work.
Hopefully something similar
Yeah.
in age.
Yeah.
Because I look at this here, right here, as a good example. I mean, it's just how do you fix that to make it look? Because over years it's going to ding and ding and ding, and you certainly wouldn't just cover that up.
And see, that's a good point that you picked that up, because I specifically took a picture of those to provide those to Dan Stoss.
We have
And
the
he
additional links as well.
he said, "Yep, I've got that covered. I can take care of that." So
And
he
I know
knows
the
what
one
he's
that came out in person
able to
mentioned like fixing with real wood as opposed to, I don't know, epoxy or something
Right,
like that.
right. Right. And so learning those answers will help. Any
And
other question or
It'd
thought?
be important to have those interviews here on site.
Do you want them to come and just meet with Brittany and interview with Brittany, or do you want them to come to a
We'll
board
get some
meeting?
information to
Anybody.
start and see who we're interested
Right.
in looking into
Yeah.
further.
If you narrow it down to 3, let's say, get actually interview them here on site, walk around all these particular things, listen, as you mentioned, listen to what they suggest their process is. and
May or
ask
may
them some
not be
questions.
necessary depending on what they come back with. If it makes it clear at that point that we can move forward with
Right.
the original
Yeah.
choice, then
Okay, let's see what we get response back, and then we'll go from there. And I hate to add one more important thing to your plate, Brittany, but if we need to then come back and have an interview process to knock it down to who we need to deal with, then I'm all for doing
Yeah.
I think
Then it
that'd be
shouldn't
fine.
just
It'd
have
be
to
good
be-
for the board to be able to.
Mhm.
additional quotes might be beneficial too, because if we're consistently getting ones in this range, if we do get one more that's more, similar to memory lane, then that can kind of help. Just let us know that there is, a wider range of.
What was interesting, just so you know, Brittany, when I was at the Strawberry Festival talking to antique dealers that do historic, Memory Lane was the one that was recommended over. Well, I can't do it right now, but I can tell you who should do it, and it would be Memory Lane. And he was quoted at least by 5 other individuals that I can think of right off the top of my head. I also know that requesters have worked with him, so I know that. And the point was, he is expensive, but he does it right, and that was what was stated. So I think I agree. I don't necessarily just want to throw money, because God knows there are a lot of projects that we could work on. But I do, this is the exact detail, the fact that this matches all of this, and it was created for this room and this space. That's really important. And I know that maybe you don't necessarily agree with me, Karen, but I wouldn't doubt that this was done at the same time,
You may be right.
because of just how the detailing matches. That's just my 2 cents.
So we'll get those answers and talk about this next month. Okay. All right. Do we need to talk about any other future restoration and preservation items?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Not going to be talking about the fountain at all.
It's not leaking as much as it was, strangely. I don't know what to say about that. Maybe it's the rain. But for right now, we're on pause on that.
We're okay for now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right then.
Who knows?
All right, then we'll move on to the restricted areas and encampment mitigation.
Yeah, the project is under review with the city to get the permit. Because of the nature of the property, in order for us to get permits through the city, it also has to go through the Historic Preservation Commission. So we did have to apply for a certificate of appropriateness for certain aspects of the project. So that's under review right now. The application's been submitted. I think I submitted it on Thursday, and it takes up to 10 days or so for that certificate to get granted. Hopefully it does, and then we get the permit from there, and then the work can start. So just waiting on those pieces.
Do we know which meeting that's going to be at the Historic Preservation Commission?
It may not go through that entire process. It might just be a more administrative process. It just depends.
So it isn't necessarily historical preservation that approves this.
It is, but it may not go through their full process, so I don't know exactly what the difference is. She said it may just be at an administrative level. So I don't know what that means in terms of the difference between maybe just Jennifer being able to approve it, or if it needs to go through the entire.
The certificate is from the city.
Yes, yeah, specifically from the Preservation Commission, and then with the certificate, then the permit can be approved.
Are we still waiting for a? Okay.
Yeah, the certificate has to come first, and then.
Yes.
When you say encampment mitigation, what's that mean? I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, so
Sounds-
the catalyst for this fencing project was encampment issues that we've been experiencing for a long time now, finding unhoused encampments and folks sleeping on site and going to the bathroom on site and leaving trash and those types of issues. So the idea is just over in this is to just kind of block off the hidden areas in which we're seeing those issues.
Is it just one person or?
No, there's one person that is repeatedly here, but it's not just one person. So, and my biggest concern is the people using Callahan House grounds as a bathroom and finding people sleeping overnight and leaving trash and all of those things. So it's just those specific areas in which those are an issue.
So it's a combination. It's a fencing in front of or to the edge of the carriage house in which we have. We're going to. What we recommended was to do matching the gates.
The ornamental steel to match the original wrought iron.
Yeah, to keep people out of that area. Also, helping raise so that people aren't getting down into the stairs that go into the carriage house, and also putting a gate or an area that is blocking off behind the storage shed, simply to keep. It's a safety issue, so we don't have anybody hiding
That's where
back there.
staff comes and goes right through that area, and there's no visibility, so it's pretty.
So have you talked to Next Light too about cameras and anything like that?
That's a future project.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that hasn't been really discussed, has it? That we've talked
It's been
to
on
Next Light?
It's on CIP. I don't know about Next Light specifically, but it's on CIP for some time.
Yeah, the camera, I feel like every time it comes up in rec meetings is that the wiring for the building it's a complicated, expensive process to get cameras. So it's in there, but it's not been executed.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Complicated because of, I can understand the rest of the property, but that lines the alley behind the property, that should simplify it. I mean, if we're really focusing on those nooks and crannies back in the east side of the property.
Well, I mean, for example, to get lighting on the shed back here, they were going to have to run a wire, from the shed to the house. So that's why we didn't want to move forward with that. So I imagine it would be similar, having to add additional hardware and wiring and whatnot. But I mean, it's something
You can
that is
ask if
going
you want
to
it just for outside and what that would look like. I mean, you still have to get up with the system that the city uses for security cameras and access on your home laptop or your home computer. And I know there's a cost associated with that. I don't know what it is, but not everybody has access to security cameras, in our facilities. So,
But it is on the CIP list for future projects.
For here.
Yeah.
But being on the CIP list, is that interior and exterior, or is that exterior only?
I assumed it was exterior, but I don't know.
I imagine it would be both, unless we didn't want cameras in here. But
I just think if
Most-
we're like not wanting to add additional smoke alarms, we probably don't want to add additional cameras.
No, I would think
I don't
not
know.
inside, but outside, we're dealing with that in multiple areas
Yeah.
throughout the community in regards to the exact same thing. If you wanted to send me that just so that I know what line on the CIP it is, then I would be able to talk to Harold about that, at least on the exterior. And to Karen's point, in regards to the access of power and everything, that with it coming through the alleyway and not necessarily
Through the
Not
building
on the
itself.
property,
No.
it's not on the
Might
property
be.
really.
might be of benefit just because it is such a an attractive place for people to, come. It's in the area of town where we're experiencing that. As you know, we recently have put in as a first reading an ordinance around the issue of standing wall and not being able to lie in the public right of way in specific areas of the community. And some of those areas are in this general area, and we can add more as we proceed as the city deals with this. But for example, as you walk, just give me an idea of what this looks like. If you're going into McDonald's, you can see people there on the corner, and they'll be laying in the private areas of that dental office there when they're not trying to exercise the First Amendment right around the issue of what we say is panhandling. What we had experienced in the past is people moving, stepping literally 2 feet to the public right of way, and then saying, well, now you can't ticket me. And now a law that has been enforced and not challenged in Colorado Springs is what we're applying here in this particular situation. In Longmont, in very specific areas, a lot of Main Street, in the Longmont development, was it
Downtown?
Downtown Development Authority area, and then the area I just described, and then there's a couple of others. And it's just to stop people from thinking that they can lay over here while they're waiting for some vehicle to come in, and then when the police are called because they're becoming a nuisance, moving to the right of way. And so we've made it so that the right of way is no longer also somewhere where they can move to.
Well, the nice thing about this, our property here, is that we do have signs that are posted of the gardens open dawn to dusk. So that's already the statement of these are the hours that you're allowed to be on the property. Regarding the areas that are the nooks and crannies that we're trying to better protect or keep people from getting into, well, obviously we're doing that fencing. But having the cameras just back there, that will probably
Unfortunately,
help.
signs and cameras don't keep anybody out. They
Oh,
will
no,
help us
but-
inform
no, but
what's going
for
on, but
enforcement
fencing
purposes.
does. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's signage back here that says this is a restricted area. It doesn't.
Right,
Yeah, no,
right.
and your
But-
protection is,
but to have
your
the
safety
footage.
is important.
Oh yes, the safety is important, but if you're how do you prove somebody was there?
I think also on top of
In
that,
this
A
extra
video,
scenario,
a
work,
photo.
are you-
It-
I'm happy to ask Ben where the line item is for the CIP cameras and what
Yeah.
that detail is.
Yeah.
But I do agree with Brittany. Even at the memorial building where we see a ton of activity,
Right.
we have a full-time person dedicated to calling non-emergency and dealing with those. Brittany is not going to be that person.
No,
So-
no, that's not
Yeah.
what I'm asking. I'm just saying that if you have evidence of that, then repeat offenders
Yes.
can be dealt with.
For enforcement purposes.
Well, and we know who the people are. They're on file with the police department. We're unfortunately, unless the police department, and there's been several, whatever.
Cases, calls.
Yeah.
counted.
So unless they catch someone on site and can trespass them, and even then
It's not
expecting
that.
that person to show up for a court date is.
Not gonna
So
happen.
the best thing is, excuse me, just to make the areas unavailable, and all these other things
Oh, yeah.
too. But the
first
fencing
and
is going to
foremost.
go a long way to be the first thing
But
that
I-
stops the issues that we're seeing right now.
I personally find what would be most interesting is rather than have it connected to the historic property is to have it connected via the alleyway. And I do think long-term process, if we did have 1 to 2 cameras to help monitor, it would be helpful. I mean, I think of what happened at St. Stephen's with the windows and stuff there where the bricks were thrown and just horrible damage was done. At least they caught the offender. The bottom line is, God forbid something like that would happen here, but we would like to have evidence of it. And,
Yeah, just
and
enough.
because
So
it really should
we'll look
be
into
on
it.
you.
Yep. Well, look, just give me that number, that line, and I'll talk.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If Ben were here, he
Well
would be able to
said.
tell you, but.
I like, you're on point. Okay.
So just the purpose of the cameras, make sure we understand. One would be maybe to deter people. If they see a camera, they may not come, possibly.
maybe nice, but
But the main thing is to record
Yes,
what happened.
correct.
But not to put Brittany in the position of.
No,
playing.
no.
Security.
Security
But
guard,
just
because
when
that's
you were
not.
recording, then
Right.
it's easy
But
to.
it's not something that's monitored all the time, it's that when someone's approaching, could be
Exactly.
danger.
Yeah.
You're using it to record what happened.
Exactly.
And then,
So then you can prove who was there, when, and what they did. Yeah.
but I agree the fencing is the right solution
Yeah.
for those issues.
So we'll hear more updates next month on that, yeah? Okay.
well, as soon as we get the permit, we'll move forward with the project.
But but the board will hear more updates on it next month. I mean, whatever
Yeah, well, and
status it is.
And if
If
there's,
it's, you're like,
if-
okay, it's done, you know, or whatever the status is.
and if for some reason it does go before historic preservation, can you let us know what date it would be put placed in front of that?
Yeah, that would be
In front of
helpful.
the commission?
Yeah, I'll
And
ask if they
Historic
have that.
Preservation Commission meets the first Thursday night of every month
Right.
in City Council chambers. At,
Yeah, 5.
5 o'clock, yeah.
That hasn't changed. but-
Okay. All right, we will move on to committee updates. So Art Block is first.
Okay, from talking to Brittany last, are we still at the number that we were for
Yeah,
ours?
I haven't gotten any new ones. It's still 10. I have a reminder in my calendar to do like a month out, kind of. So next week, basically, to say, hey, you know, submissions are due in a month.
Well, all of mine but 2 were definite. The one was the jeweler, and she's going to stay on Main Street because she's short-staffed this year. The other is a wood carving artist, and he's on a teeter-totter of whether he's going to be up in our area or whether he's going to be down in the Springs area for another event. So he's waiting to get more details.
It's a
He's
timing
wanting to
thing.
work this in. It's
It's-
whether he can do them both. So
Okay.
So those are 2 of the 10 you're talking about?
no, those are 2
Two additional.
beyond the 10.
And
So,
I'm,
but
to be honest, guys, you gotta understand, I know we had 19, that's very exciting, but we went from a whopping 4 up to that number.
And we can
So
do
either
that
way,
more.
at 10,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
really excited.
Yeah, that's
And-
great.
And if we get up more, fabulous. It's a win-win. Again, I think, and I liked how we had it worked where we then assign them their spots as we get closer. I think the big thing is to make sure that we get the music in place.
Oh, yeah.
And
I just will need to coordinate with you about
yeah, and I think that
who's going first. Kind of who's
And-
the
and-
opener, who's the main act.
so
yeah.
could we go ahead and take team and have a meeting?
Yeah.
You
so-
said you had a meeting right after that.
Yes, but I
Um,
could do we could take a lunch break and come back, and I can do the afternoon, but it would have to be
Okay.
2:00 or beyond.
Okay. And if that won't work with Brittany's schedule, we can always meet at the coffee shop. Because
So you're
we're-
talking about June 19th
Yeah.
in the afternoon,
Yes.
2 p.m.?
2 p.m.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for Art Walk.
And that's
So
for Art
Art
Walk.
Walk committee.
Art walk, please.
Yeah. 2 p.m. Preferably here at the house.
Preferably, but if not, then we can figure it out.
Brittany, can we go with a committee meeting for Art Walk on the 19th at 2 p.m.?
Or is that going to be a conflict?
I think it was open before, but is that still?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, great.
Let's do
So I
that.
can't come, but I think there'll be a lot of people who already have come. So
Okay. And anybody that wants to, that'd be great.
Always help. All right. Then the next, is that it for Art Walk? We'll wrap it up and we'll go.
Okay.
Okay. All right, room by room tour booklet. Jeff, do you have an update?
Yeah,
Would you like to schedule a committee meeting?
I would like to schedule a meeting. Actually, the open house we had a few weeks ago, I found was very enlightening for me. I was at open house walking through a year or two ago. It was the first time actually being here, pretending like I know something. But to me, it was really good to see the questions people asked, and also to see how they responded to information that we provided to them. So it was very, very good. So at this point, looking at two things. One, I guess we'll debate if it's needed or not, but basically just a trifold handout that someone comes through that has some very basic information. That I'm looking at floor plans, just a very brief description of the house, the family, and then kind of bullet points on each of the rooms, maybe highlighting windows in one, wood in another, something someone, if they're interested, could go through, looks on here, this is the original house, these 3 or 4 items in this particular room, and move on and on. And if we feel that's warranted, then I'd like to at least have us draft up something on that. And the bigger one is the kind of the booklet that we probably would sell for a modest price. I don't necessarily see that as someone's going to go through with that booklet on their walkthrough.
No.
But that I see that it's kind of divided into 4 parts. One would be, actually we've got a lot of information about the house. It's just wonderful. The stuff's been formulated by the board and others. But the first part would be an introduction, to the Callahan House, history of the family, history of the house, and maybe get more detailed history of the Callahan's business and how they influenced the community both socially and business-wise. And the second part will be, I guess, a lot of information we use in our self-guided docent tours that we would go through room by room, more detailed description of the room, detailing history, finishes, woods, artwork, furniture, things like that. And also include floor plans, kind of as a guide. And we might want to include a few pictures or drawings or something there just for visual interest of what we're talking about. And the third part gets more into the historic restoration preservation, just in general description of the importance and why the groups that have been involved in that over time. There's some information in the Colorado State Preservation Plan. We can include information about that, in part to educate the public or people about that. And then we can actually get into projects that have been completed to date here, which might include funding source things. People see where is money coming from, and potentially list future renovation projects that are needed. And then if we want to have a part about support in the Patriots program, how you can support the house and the programs. So,
I think that covers everything that we wanted to cover with that specific issue. Yeah.
did you go with
Sounds good. I wanted to give you this, just for just for
that?
reference.
Okay, yes,
Because that's about Stanley.
right. And I can return this to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Very good. I will do.
But
Thank
don't
you.
rush.
Yeah, I'm familiar with this, but I will. Thank you very much.
When would you like to set a committee meeting?
It'd be nice to do it, sometime this coming month. We're getting,
Time is slipping by.
right.
Who's on
Freshman
your
member who's
committee?
interested on the committee or working on it?
On
Refresh-
the committee?
Okay.
Three of you.
Okay, so we got a good
Okay.
representation. Any suggestions on times, dates?
I could do the 30th, which I know is pushing it. It's the very last day of the month, but
Okay.
You
The
wanna-
30th, can we do the afternoon?
Yeah, I could do the afternoon of the 30th.
Okay.
Yep.
What about joining in with
Yeah.
I guess that's.
Yeah, so afternoon on the 30th, starting at what time?
You guys want to do it after the patrons committee on the 1st?
No, I think we're kind of crunched on time now, right? We've got the
Well, you've
whole
got
hours.
an hour. I mean,
We've got 2 hours of patrons of Callahan House there from 1 to 3.
you need 2 hours for patrons.
Yeah, we do. So, but room by room, I don't want to cut this one short. I think it's been cut short before by piggybacking. So let's stick with the Monday, June 30th. in the
it has
afternoon.
been.
Yeah,
It has
we need to-
been.
We need to give this its proper time
Okay.
allotment.
And what time is good? 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so that's Monday, June 30th at 1 o'clock here upstairs.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
And anybody's welcome to join.
How long do you want for that?
A couple of hours.
Yeah, that sounds good, 1 to 3.
And for the scrapbook and art walk, how long?
Well, we're going to meet for a good hour for the scrapbook, if not longer, probably maybe 2.
Realistically. 'Cause
And then art walk, it should be maybe an hour. Because we're just going over, talking about logistics.
The date is
To
Art Walk
Sunday.
again, September
13.
Yeah. 13th? Thank you.
Could you send us an email just listing these dates and
I always do,
meetings?
yeah.
That'd be helpful.
And if I've messed
Yeah.
up your
Have you not
thing-
been receiving them before?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, just to summarize all these.
Yeah, there's always going to be a calendar invite.
Right, perfect, thank you.
And if I messed it up again, I'm sorry.
Well, it looks like you sent an invite, but that's fine.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay, see, okay, I'm gonna have to get my daughter to help me uninvite people because I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
All right, so then the
I
next.
apologize.
Does that cover what we need to talk about for room by room tour booklet today?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, so then the next item is the fall tea. We do need to have a meeting between now and July because in July is when we would send an electronic invitation out to our invitees. And we need to come up with an invitee list. And so, would it be okay with you if we just add to the piggyback off of Art Walk?
Yes.
From the, because we're gonna do
Yes,
2 to
because
3. Can we do 3 to 4?
Yeah,
for fall tea?
let's just get it done because
Okay.
we are out of time.
Let's do
And it's just
that.
one of those,
So,
where did it go?
so
Who's on that committee?
I am.
I am.
I can't remember,
You
but
are. You're so sweet. Yes, you are. Okay. that
And,
will be
and remember,
two-
if you
that
have
will be-
suggestions on who should be invited, please let us know, because we're planning on inviting more than just the board members. The show.
Yes. So Historic Preservation Commission, of course, City Council, other certain members.
I think
other,
St. Marine Historic
yeah.
Society.
So yeah, those are the things we'll be discussing during that meeting. So, all right, so that's set for June 19th, 3 to 4 p.m. All right. Okay, then I think we can move on to new business, and that is the summer open houses next month on the 24th from 5 to 7.
Unfortunately, I will not be here.
I was just going to ask, will everyone be present? Okay, Maureen nodded at it. Julie
What's
I'll
the
be in
day?
Michigan.
It is a Thursday.
Where are you gonna be?
Is that right? The Thursday, the 24th
Oh,
To recognize
No,
Of
no,
what?
that's the 7th.
of July.
Okay.
July.
No.
I'll be here.
You'll be here. Okay.
This is July.
Candy.
I'm not gonna be gone.
Yep, I'll be there.
Let me double check on my phone.
I should be here.
Okay, so right now I know Julie is a no for sure. Otherwise, we're all in.
I already have it in. Never mind.
Maureen?
I'm here.
You're here. Okay. All right. So Julie's no, but everybody else is here. Great.
Okay.
All right.
Did you say that meeting was the 19th?
That
No. The fall tea meeting?
The
Have you
fall tea
said that?
meeting is the 19th from 3 to 4 p.m. Okay, that's
I've got another hospital.
that's fine. The summer open house is what we're talking about now.
Oh, sorry.
And it's Thursday, July 24th from 5 to 7 p.m. And is that good? Okay, good.
Okay, but if
All
you
right.
have some suggestions on who you think we should invite, just email us.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Karen.
Yeah, please email me with any suggestions on who we should invite to the tea. We'll bring that
Additional
to
invites.
committee and go from there. Okay. So at the summer open house, it's the general typical thing. Everybody's here and we all kind of can pick a room of your choice to sort of be there and present to answer any questions. Just
I'm
let's see.
laughing.
We
Nothing
will-
like being called out on camera by your husband. You got the dates wrong.
Sorry.
No, that's not being. That is
I'm
being.
laughing. Just
That is
like,
being
okay.
considerate and making sure you're both on the same page. That's good.
Okay.
All right. I think we do want to keep with the idea of having a table for the patrons program.
Yes.
So if we can do that. And then I do think that we mentioned before about having on the sign-in sheet at the front to have an opportunity for people to check a box if they were interested in being included on the patrons program email list.
Yeah, we talked about
Can we do-
changing that. We're gonna just keep the patrons list separate for now. That's what we did at the last open house.
Yeah, I'm not sure how effective it is. It's problematic because people coming and going through the front door.
Okay, here's what I found is they thought once they signed up, they got all of it. So it was a clarification issue. Why can't we do the check the box? Is it just more of a hassle or?
Well, to be honest, I mean, there's already several pages. There's like a booklet printed of the existing email list, so I don't really want to just scrap that. I think it can be up to whoever's at the patrons table to talk to people about the information that they're receiving.
Okay.
All right,
What was the fall tea date?
June 19th.
Okay.
3 to 4.
What about moving the patrons table so it's
More predominant?
more predominant? Because being back here, Jeff and I were in these two rooms and I didn't see a whole lot of traffic going back there, did you?
So you were back there, right?
Yeah.
Just, I agree, just to be an effective area,
Yeah.
remote.
Yeah, it's like people,
Where would you suggest we put
in the
it?
music room.
Sorry,
Where would you suggest we put it?
I would suggest maybe the parlor, get people when they first come in.
like in the corner maybe,
Okay.
just,
Let's set up in the parlor for summer open house then. Give that a go.
it's worth a try.
It's
Okay.
worth a try.
Well, here's a suggestion. What would happen if we just move the table out and you use that table and you stood back in front of the mirror?
That's perfectly fine if that works for the logistics of the house.
I don't know
It's up
that
to
we
you.
need, I think we can move, I think we can use the table. I don't know that we need to move it out though. You have the materials there and someone can stand next to the table.
Do it right in the entry, the foyer.
No, I was talking
Parlor.
about.
The table,
parlor,
the
okay.
parlor. Yeah. Yeah, we can use that table. I don't think it needs to be moved though.
Okay.
Okay. All right then. So that'll be a good try, good idea. We'll go with it. Anything else that we need to know about for summer open house?
Are we handing out bookmarks again?
Yes.
And do they need to be tied with ribbons, or are we pretty well?
They're all
pretty
done.
well
I would
set?
suggest though, instead of handing one out to everybody that walks through the room, I would hand them out to people that you're able to at least have a conversation with and might be more interested, because the last time we gave out seemingly to most everyone, but I would suggest giving them to, you know,
So
people
have
that
them-
might be, you know, more willing to sign
Okay,
up
do
for
we
a
need more?
listed sign
Do we
up.
need more
No, we have
bookmarks?
plenty. We have plenty.
I mean, if we hand them out at the same rate as we did at the April open house, then we'll be through them probably after this one.
Okay. And then we're also going to be having the pictures and everything on this table for sale, correct?
On the
Yeah.
dining room table?
Yeah, we can.
And a staff member here for that. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
All right. That covers everything for summer open house, right? Very good. All right, moving on to items from staff. Anything? Or Kristen? Okay. All right, then moving on to items from the board. Anything that anyone has to raise?
Questers had their garage sale the 6th and the 7th. The 6th was very wet and rainy, and we had to quickly open up a garage across the street. So we're having an additional sale on Friday for just to make up, and then obviously all of those funds are going to be going towards the restoration of the table.
That's this Friday?
Yeah, this Friday.
Same location?
Same location.
Okay.
Are you going to do it again this Friday?
Yes,
Sorry,
this Friday.
my hand was cracked.
No, you're so good. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. So members of my club are going to be doing it this Friday. I can't this Friday, but they will be doing that. Just opening the doors.
1227 Princeton Drive.
Drive. Thank you. Anyway, just because we had a very wet, rainy day on Friday. You can't control the weather.
Okay. Well, that's really nice of Questers to continue to see that through.
Yeah. It's what our commitment was.
I know. Lovely that way. All right. I have something that I would like to invite Sean to share a little bit more about regarding the appropriations process. It was on the agenda for last month, and I think that there may be some more questions to that. I personally am interested in what you could share with us to help enlighten the board about how city council
Well,
sees that process come through.
I think it's just a process of you all putting in for those funds, right? I'm kind of caught off guard. I didn't look that up again, and I've forgotten a little bit about what that was.
City staff would
city
put in the request.
Yeah, city
and
staff
then it
puts in
goes
the
through.
request. The funds are there and procured, I believe. It's just a matter of putting it in, and then the appropriate entities, whether it be the new finance director and Harold would be the ones to move that forward. I don't think that there's I think, and this is coming at the right time. If you're going to put something in, you have to put it in for the budget. There's a certain time frame for
That's what we were told. So we were told that you had to apply during certain times and certain windows. And I guess the big thing is those are pretty well set per the year what windows are. those
That's
are.
my
There's an
understanding.
appropriation schedule set for each year. As staff, we would put in that request through finance, which then goes through council, and it's at least a 2-month process to get funds appropriated. For the table, we're not doing an appropriations process, it's a budget request for next year.
Yes.
So it's a different process.
And so it's a different process, but one of the things that I did request and was approved on is that at the beginning of each year, we would know what those windows were. Whether we use them or not, it is really important that we're informed, so then when we make suggestions again, we're an advisory board, when we do make thoughtful suggestions and ideas, that we are making those informed, so then when we get that information onto the city council that does make the final decision, we have more information. So more information is not bad, and Ben did say that he would be giving us those schedules at the beginning of it.
When finance puts out the appropriation schedule,
which could be,
yeah, because there's not really appropriations made at the beginning of the year, which is
so
why
it
we
could
put
be more
this
like
into the
February.
budget.
It would be more
It
like
could be
February.
even be later. I'm not sure. I can talk to Sarah Delval and see when she puts it on the website.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't. Again, the conversation was. You're supposed to apply for your budget so you have that money in the first of the year, that people aren't making appropriations in those first couple months, because you're using your budget.
Correct.
And then you do appropriations to say, okay, I actually need some money to pay for X, or I got a donation that now I need appropriated into my expense budget. So it's more of like asking your bank to then give you some money to pay for something, or again, if somebody, like your patrons, if someone did a large donation and that you wanted to use that then in an expense item, it has to be appropriated out of your savings into your checking so that you can spend it.
And we receive, we'll have a first reading and a second reading on that, and so we get those all the time. So it's not something out of the ordinary. I think you're on track for knowing when those dates are.
And
in
Ben
the
did say
process.
he would share those with us. In the past, we weren't even
Yeah.
sure when those
Well,
windows were.
and
It's on the website, but we'll just include it in packets when it's available moving forward.
That's perfect. Thank you.
and I'm sorry I didn't have that answer right up. It's just been a couple of months since you asked me last, and so I kind of forgot. There's
fine.
other things that happened in the city in the meantime. We've had a big push, fastest change in policy and practice in probably the last 10 years was this sex offenders issue that was coming up. It moved through the system that would maybe take a year and a half to do in literally 3 months. So it's something that's really, really rare to see. So that's been pretty consuming.
But generally, the appropriations process is fairly smooth.
No, yeah. No,
And
it's-
a 2-month time turnaround is because you're doing a first reading in 1 month, a second reading in the second. How does that work?
No, it usually goes like, you'll have first reading, let's say, the beginning of the month, let's just say the first week of June, the second week in June, you can have your second reading. It just has to be in time for it to be announced. So that
And
people-
finance also still has to move the money,
Yeah.
so there's still a
Yeah.
lag in that process, which is why they give that calendar of, if you want your money by this date, you have to ask for it by this date.
Right.
And that's the calendar that we will share when it comes
Yeah.
out.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Which
and I'm
we
sorry.
did share.
I apologize
Yeah,
for
the
not-
2025 one is in the last packet,
Okay.
and it also depends on when they can get it onto the council agenda. There's no, just because you submit it on time to be for a certain meeting doesn't mean it's going to be on that meeting if it's full.
Right.
So.
And so the decision to go ahead and make it a budget item rather than appropriations how
Was
does that
made by
come?
finance because we need the funds at the beginning of next year.
And they don't,
That's-
then we wouldn't have the
that's why it would be
time.
And so
available.
generally speaking, at the beginning of a year, appropriations are not done. It just needs to be included in the budget.
Right, and the
Which is
budget
still an
is
ask.
being done.
We're
Yeah,
still
it's
asking for the
request.
money. budget still has to go and be reviewed by council and accepted by everybody. Now, we're anticipating that it will be accepted because we do have the funds, but it is still, all budget items are an ask and a request.
When is that? Is that August 1st?
Yeah, something around there. Ben was saying that.
Yeah.
But
So-
we've submitted it, Ben submitted it on our end.
Yeah,
in
budget
April,
stuff was already
that
due
was-
for all of our departments.
Had to take place then,
Departments,
so.
payments.
So it's already underway for
That's
our
of
end.
course when you'll never be.
Jeff, you have a question?
Yeah, could you define
Like, why is
difference between
appropriation this-
appropriation and budget?
Yeah, so an appropriation would take place within a budget year that's already created. So for example, if we wanted that money in November or December, we'd have to do an appropriation from, the house fund or whatever it was into an expense account for this year to be used. But because we want the project to start at the beginning of next year, it made more sense to do a budget request because instead of appropriating the money in the same year, we're just asking that that money be available within an expense account at the beginning of next year.
So this money still come from the same source?
It's still coming from the same place.
Okay.
It's just where it's clarified, line item.
Okay.
Where it's available to as an expense, yeah.
Sorry if I didn't have
No,
any.
I think you,
Well, that's good. We had gone over the details of it last
Yeah.
month, so.
but any other thoughts or questions? Okay. All right then. I think that kind of sums things up, that the items on the future agenda, the B, C, and D will be moved up to the new business for next month. And we'll leave Unity on there. I might suggest that what might be better is to have a events calendar that this would be included in. And that events calendar is a proposed calendar for the 2026 year, which then is reviewed by the board in January for that year.
I think
So I
that's
think we need to-
really what our agenda.
Probably ought to.
I think it's in when we had our last retreat, that was discussed that at the beginning of the year we would have an events calendar placed.
So I
At
think
the beginning.
That's standard from year to year. The reason that Unity here is more specific is because we didn't feel that it was appropriate to participate this year, but, we
Well,
would
with the
review
expense
that
and everything.
again in January.
I agree.
So this
And-
is kind of separate from the standard annual calendar of events that is available every January. This is kind of a,
Is this the Chambers Unity? Okay.
yeah.
so.
It was just we were thinking about we were going to do that in place of Club Affair, and the expenses a lot, and the scramble to
turnaround.
the turnaround time.
Yeah, it was more the
huge.
time frame this year that was difficult.
Well, definitely. How about,
Can I
I'll
make
go
a
ahead.
suggestion, though, that we set a meeting now for July, because summer is going quickly, and can we set a meeting for the holiday decorating committee now? Because waiting till our July meeting, July's going to be gone. And
I think what our concern, why we have it set for July, is that we're going to be discussing the Habitat for Humanity Gift of Home Tour and how that relates to how we're going to decorate the house. Am I thinking right?
Have they come back?
And then also the Santa visit, and specifically how we may want to decorate for.
These all seem related.
They are all
They're all
related.
related.
They are all related, but that's all kind of to be discussed in July, because then it's a matter, and then talking about setting the committee date in July. Do you just want to go ahead and set the committee date now?
that's what I'm
Probably a good
suggesting.
idea.
Okay.
Because everybody has a busy summer schedule,
Okay.
and it would be really wise if we just set it now.
All right. Candy, you're the lead on that. Do you have a preference?
I have the lead on decorating committee.
Yes.
But July is really busy, so.
That's why I'm saying.
And the committee's talking about whether or not we want to make some changes to the decorations this year.
I think it's just everything decoration related.
It's a combination.
It's a lot, I mean, it's just everything regarding holiday decorating.
I'm sorry, okay.
Go ahead.
Did you say you have not had contact with Habitat?
Well, not that, they know that we're confirmed, but they still don't have dates set.
But it's confirmed that they will be,
Yeah,
okay, well, that's something we need to know.
Do you think they'll know between now and July?
I have no idea.
Okay. Hopefully, you'll be able to do a reach out to them, just to do a check.
Do we need the Santa visit to be on here then, or is it just like decorating in general?
I think it does need to be on there because we're talking, I mean, it's talking about it's
Specifics of
separate.
how it
Yeah.
operates.
Yeah.
So that may not be something we have to visit in July.
I don't
though.
think that's
It
for
did.
July, because we
Okay.
still need to figure out like what the registration is gonna be like.
Yeah,
So,
I think
do you
it's
want
more
the
about the
full guides?
decorating.
You want to put,
Or
all right,
that's
so
the
let's stop
whole
for a second.
next
So
No.
Santa visit, talk about it.
We don't put it in.
Should we talk
So
about
it's
it
in
in
November,
September?
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
Okay, so we're going to make Santa visit is going to be a September agenda item. Okay. And, all right.
Yeah, I don't know though.
Then, but when are we looking at July for a committee meeting?
And the only reason I'm suggesting it is because it's a busy month.
Meeting in September.
So,
It's a few days before your meeting. I didn't know what.
the September board meeting?
If we need to scrap.
Oh, it's the 10th.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will
Okay.
not.
That's fine.
not
I
be-
forgot. I was for some reason thinking
Could
it was
be
the
on
first
there.
one.
For the
basically
September
the meeting.
1st
Oh,
through the
September, okay.
23rd. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm looking at the afternoon of the 10th might be
Okay.
the best as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, what time?
That's fine.
Let's see. That's not going to take me to play golf. 1 o'clock?
Okay.
Okay.
And frankly, we can discuss both those things.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
At
we're
that
talking about
time.
all decoration, yeah.
Mhm, 'cause they all tie in
Yeah, all
together, so.
decorations, really.
Okay, so July 10,
Do we
does that
want
work?
to, yeah,
Yeah,
one-
that's fine.
we
How
want to
long?
allow 1 to 3, go hopefully be less than that, but allow that amount in case.
Well, we'll say 1 to 3, but
We'll use
we'll
less.
finish early.
All right.
Upstairs.
I just don't want to
And
pinch
does
you.
that involves
Everyone,
everyone?
yeah. So,
I'll always send out the
a lot
committee
of
meetings
meetings,
to
yeah.
everybody, and then
It's
whoever can join outside of the committee is fine too.
so hey, quick question regarding the Santa visit, and I know Habitat, because you'll probably put it in the recreation book, right? Is it seasonally or quarterly?
Santa
recreation?
visit
Santa
won't
we
be in
don't
there.
put
You
in.
don't put it in the
We don't
recreation
ever
book
advertise it
anymore?
because we haven't for years because it just fills up too quickly. So it'll be
Only on
in
constant
City
contact.
Line
Oh,
and
okay.
on the website.
Is there enough time in September when will you advertise Santa?
Usually Constant Contact likes to advertise about 2 weeks before an event happens, so people can mark their calendars for registration dates. So we wouldn't need to have Santa registration figured out on our recreation end until, which is the logistics of it. It's not like you can still have the description, the date, and the time.
Registration coming soon.
Like early, it's like at the second Monday of November or something is when it usually opens for 2 weeks, even though it sells out right away.
Yeah.
Did you all figure out a different process to?
I've got it here. We'll chat about it.
Okay.
We'll chat about it.
Well, gee, that sounds fun.
And we don't need
Okay.
to decorate for the open house for Christmas because remember it's supposed to be a secret, and the holiday Habitat for Humanity will be the advertisement, selling the
We
tickets.
don't need to mark it. Yeah.
Oh, market. I was going to say
Yeah.
you said decorate, right? No, but we are decorating.
Oh yeah, but as far as
marketing,
advertising,
okay, yeah.
that's
That's
we're not
Habitat for
supposed to
Humanity.
do that. So I guess that's one thing we need to confirm, whether or not it needs to be kept quiet, or whether it would be helpful to them for us to be advertising.
Okay.
That is a good question.
That's maybe
That's one of those things that's supposed to be a hush hush that we're not supposed to talk about it yet, and then
in the past it has been.
yeah. that's,
But since it's here, it's a good question.
because she told
Maybe they
me
might
that, and
want
I'm like,
it. Maybe that will draw more audience.
Okay.
It could be. So that's a question that
Yeah.
So again,
Chris would need to know, or be able to answer maybe.
all right.
And at some point, they need to have made a decision
Right.
as to whether or not Thursday is going to
Yeah.
be involved in this or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of find they take a little extra time to make decisions about things. Maybe if we bug them a little bit.
So we need to make sure the house is available for other events. In the case that somebody wants to book something, we need to make sure we've firmed up the dates with people.
Absolutely.
That might be the way to encourage them to commit. Okay, so that covers all future agenda items for now. I'll go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and create the events calendar. In it is going to be the standard, but then along in it, in a separate subsection, is going to be an additional Unity question, Unity 2026. Okay.
We're not going to list the calendar of events right now for
No,
January.
no.
That's standard for every year. So.
I'll put it together and share it with everyone so that it's just, we're good.
Okay.
Okay. I think that covers it. Does anyone have any other thought or question or concern? No? At that, it is 11:06, and we have a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
A second?